All right, today we are taking an exclusive behind-the-scenes tour of one of the most incredible factories on the entire planet, your own body. We're going to follow the complete journey of your food and drink, from the moment it goes in to how it's broken down, absorbed, and filtered out. So let's get right into it.
You know, it seems like a simple question, right? But the answer, well, it's anything but simple. The second you take a bite of food, this amazing, totally automated assembly line just kicks into gear. So we're going to follow that line from the very beginning all the way to the waste management department. So first up, we're heading to the main production floor. This is what's known as the gastrointestinal tract, basically a long, winding tube that runs right through you. This is where the main event, digestion, really happens. Our tour of this factory has 4 main stops. First, food comes in through the esophagus. Think of it as the entry chute. It then lands in the stomach, which is this powerful mixing chamber. From there, the real magic starts in the small intestine, our main absorption hub, before finally the large intestine handles all the final processing. So here it is, our mixing chamber, the stomach. And look, it's not just some simple bag. It actually has these specialized zones that do different things, like receiving the food and then controlling its exit. But to really get where it sits and how it moves, we first need to see how all these organs are packaged together. Okay, so you gotta understand the peritoneum. The easiest way to think of it is like a giant, super thin sheet of plastic wrap inside your belly. The visceral layer is the part that shrink wraps the organs themselves, while the parietal layer lines the entire wall of the cavity. This whole setup is what holds everything perfectly in place. After the stomach, we hit the 2 main tubes. The small intestine is the super long main event, with different sections specialized for some serious chemical digestion and then absorbing all those good nutrients. Then it connects to the large intestine, which is home to parts you've probably heard of, like the colon, which handles the final steps. So let's zoom in now. We're going from the big organs down to the microscopic level. What's the fundamental structure of this long digestive tube? Well, it turns out it's a really consistent 4-layer design all the way through. Think of this whole tube as having a 4-layered wall. On the inside, you've got the mucosa, a slick, moist lining. Right under that is the submucosa, which is all the wiring and plumbing, blood vessels, nerves, the works. Then you have the muscle, the muscularis externa, which provides the power to squeeze everything along. And on the very outside is the serosa, a tough, protective skin. Now here is where it gets really cool. This is the stomach's secret weapon. See, most of the GI tract has 2 muscle layers, but the stomach, it's got a 3rd one, an extra inner oblique layer. This gives it this unique ability to twist and churn, to literally pummel food into a pulp. It's pretty amazing. And this right here is a perfect example of how structure is all about function. The small intestine's job is to absorb, so its walls have these deep folds plus these tiny finger-like things called villi and even smaller microvilli. All of that creates a massive surface area. But the large intestine? Its job is just water absorption and moving waste along, so no need for folds or villi. Instead, it's packed with something called goblet cells that produce mucus to keep things moving smoothly. Now, of course, the main digestive tube doesn't work alone. No way. It has a critical support crew. These are the accessory organs that produce and supply all the essential chemicals that make digestion possible. The whole process actually kicks off with the salivary glands in your mouth, but the real heavy hitters are this powerful trio right here. The liver, which produces bile to break down fats. The gallbladder, which is basically a little storage tank for that bile, and the pancreas, which unleashes this cocktail of powerful enzymes to break down everything else. And hey, let's not forget the factory's very first machine, the grinder. An adult has 32 of them, specialized tools for cutting, tearing, and crushing everything that comes in the door. If you zoom way into the liver, you see its genius design. It's built from millions of these little hexagonal units called lobules. And check this out, at every single corner of the hexagon is something called a portal triad. It's this perfectly designed little junction that brings in both oxygen-rich blood and nutrient-rich blood for processing, while at the same time it ships out the finished product, bile. It's just brilliant biological engineering. And here's the pancreas, our enzyme factory. It's kind of tadpole-shaped, and it's tucked right behind the stomach. Its real work happens in these tiny clusters of cells called acini. They're the ones producing the pancreatic juice that's powerful enough to break down every single category of food. Okay, so we've broken down the food and absorbed the nutrients. Now, the factory has to deal with all the liquid waste that's filtered out of the blood. So for this part of the tour, we're moving over to the body's incredible filtration plant, the urinary system. The pathway for liquid waste is just as organized, believe me. It all starts at the kidneys, the master filters that purify your blood. The waste product, which is now urine, gets sent down these pipelines called the ureters to the bladder, which is our central storage tank. And then, when the time is right, it leaves through the urethra, the final exit route. So what's actually doing all this filtering? Well, it's this little guy, the nephron. Your kidneys have over 1 million of these microscopic workhorses in each one. It's wild. If you lined them all up end to end, they'd stretch for miles. And each nephron works in 2 basic steps. First, the renal corpuscle acts like a high-pressure filter, pushing all the small stuff, good and bad, out of the blood. Then, that liquid flows into the long, winding renal tubule, which meticulously reclaims everything your body still needs, like water and salts, leaving only the true waste behind to become urine. All right, we've filtered the blood, and we've made urine. The final leg of our tour covers the system for storing and then, releasing this liquid waste from the body. This is the bladder, and it's a truly remarkable storage tank. It's basically a muscular bag, but its lining is made of this special tissue called transitional epithelium. And what that means is the bladder can stretch a lot as it fills up, all without tearing. It's an incredible design. If you were to look inside the bladder, there's this specific landmark called the trigone. It's a smooth, triangular area formed by the 3 openings, the 2 from the ureters, where urine flows in, and the 1 for the urethra, where it flows out. It basically acts as a funnel to guide the flow. And finally, controlling the exit is a 2-gate system. You've got the internal sphincter, which is made of smooth muscle, meaning it's involuntary, you don't control it. But then you have the external sphincter, which is skeletal muscle. That's the one that gives you conscious, voluntary control over the final release. And that completes our tour. This incredible automated factory processes, absorbs, and filters everything you consume, all day, every single day, without you even having to think about it. It really makes you wonder, what other silent, amazing systems are at work inside you right this very second?